Hey, check out this new technology we have. You won't believe it. Yo, JD, show the boys that trick that you do.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. I just got to be real with you all. If you follow this channel, I believe in UFOs, whatever you want to call them. I believe in interdimensional, intergalactic, whatever you want, species. I got it, okay? I'm down. I've seen enough evidence. I've seen enough videos. I've heard enough firsthand testimony. I've had enough members of Congress on. I've heard enough stories over my own dinner table with members of the military. I live in a big military community, big Air Force community. Here, MacDill Air Force Base is right down the street from where I live. So I got those guys over at my house. They are telling me what they've seen. They are telling me that no whiskey involved, no booze involved. They're like straight up saying, we've seen these things. They make no sense. We're fighting F-22 Raptors. We're flying the most sophisticated aircraft in the world. You can't make them better than the U.S. military, and these things are clowning on us. Little red triangles, little red tic tacs. They literally, they come right up to the planes, and they zoom off, and they go under the water. It's crazy. What are they? I don't know. Are they? Yes, they are. They're real. And there's enough physical evidence to just accept that reality. So what does that mean for our leaders? You know, my contention is when you see all of the UFO news that's coming out right now, and it's just like a constant series of articles. I mean, look at all these. Just constant articles talking about like new UFO discovery, new sighting. I've never seen news cycles like this, right, with UFOs. It's like a UFO super cycle. Thousands of new reports all the time. Still don't know what the hell with the drones over New Jersey. The point is that eventually our leaders are going to have to come to terms with all of this. And it looks like J.D. Vance is doing that. And to his great respect, actually. And J.D. Vance is saying something that I think is a really logical contention here. That a considerable portion of the UFOs, some of them may be drones, some of them may be foreign adversaries, but a considerable portion of them may be spiritual in nature. There's no other way to explain, in our laws of physics, the way that these things move. There's no way to explain it. You just can't, right? And I don't pretend to be the world's expert, but you can't. J.D. Vance making a bunch of news right here, ladies and gentlemen, saying, no, these things are probably spiritual in nature.
One last question about UFOs. So I'm a mad UFO lunatic
Me
as
too.
well.
Yeah.
So, and you said, I think the Ruthless podcast, that you were going to, in August, you were going to figure out what happened. So have you
That was a little
managed?
tongue-in-cheek. I have not figured it out yet.
Right.
I haven't had the time to figure it out yet.
But you've got access to all this.
I do. And I really want to sort of dig into it. You know, Marco's actually very interested in this too. We talked about this talked about this back in our Senate days. So yeah, there's certainly an interest there. There's certainly an intrigue, but I haven't yet had the time to really dig in. Things have been so busy. But this is the crazy person inside of me. And there's, all of us put the tinfoil hat on from time to time. I'm like, I can't allow myself to become so busy that I spend the next 3 years and I don't get to the bottom of this. So I will get to the bottom of this, but it's going to take me a little time.
Because Tulsi Gabbard says that she believes there are aliens. Do you believe that?
I don't, it's interesting. I wouldn't say that I do or don't believe it. I mean, I'm a big believer that there are things out there that we can't explain. And so if another person sees an alien, maybe I see an angel or a demon. So I'm a big believer that there are like spiritual forces working on the physical world that a lot of us don't see and a lot of us don't understand and a lot of us don't appreciate. But, is it aliens or is it our guardian angel, or is it aliens or is it a not so guardian force that doesn't care about us or in fact actively wishes us harm? I don't know the answer to that question. What I try to do is I try to say my prayers. I try to be as good of a person as I can be, and I try to do a good job. And hopefully that's all I need to do.
That answer's gone worldwide. It's the first time anyone's been like kind of honest with us. Now, why is it dangerous to be honest about a situation like this? Because it means the government doesn't have full control. But if you're a Christian, if you are a believer, even if you're just like a deist, even if you just believe in God and believe in like the supernatural, then you already know that the government doesn't have full control. All of it is an illusion. All of it is a facade. It's a fake, fugazi. And it's best to just like actually believe in the full authority of God and to not believe in, you know, AOC, Kamala Harris, right? Like Joe Biden. You think Joe Biden was actually running the country or the universe or even his own bedpan? No, dude. It's actually easier and it's more logical to just say, you know, there have been principalities, there have been spirits, angels, demons, fallen angels, everything, you know, cast down in different dimensions, which I guess would be heaven and hell, right? Anyway, the point is, like, Tucker's really close with JD, and it kind of really reflects what Tucker, you know, the way that, like, Tucker responds to these things. He was asked a question about UFOs just last week at a Turning Point event.
This is something, like, not political, but I think you like talking about it. Are aliens a religious or extraterrestrial subject?
They're spiritual entities.
Spiritual beings.
Is my view, yes. And I don't think they're from another planet. I don't think there's any evidence of that, or perhaps they are, but they've been resident here for recorded history, and there's every reason to believe for eternity. And this is my belief, and I think there's a lot there. There's also a lot of lying about it and official disinformation designed to confuse people or make you look ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that you read about that subject that was put there in order to get you off the trail. And I'm not guessing at this. Some of it's been declassified. There's been a persistent 75-year effort by the United States government to confuse the population about what these things are that we can see in the sky. And many people have seen it. But after looking into it, you know, pretty extensively for a number of years, off camera, my conclusion is that they are the spiritual entities that are described, well, in the Old Testament, in Ezekiel, but also, I would say, in the sacred texts of all kinds of religions around the world. This is not, like, basically, I'll stop at this bit. Our culture is anomalous in the sense that we exclude the possibility of a spiritual realm. And that's only been true in the United States since August of 1945 when we dropped the atom bomb, which was the turning point in history, in my opinion. And it was the beginning of the total destruction of the West, which unfortunately we're witnessing now. And that destruction began with, you know, the same lie that begins all destruction, which is I am God. Hubris is the end, always. You know, it was the point of the Tower of Babel. It's the end of every leader. Every leader who's like, I'm very powerful, I have godlike powers, that leader will be destroyed. And a nation that believes that will be destroyed. And the atom bomb gave us the sense, the false sense, very false sense, that we had absolute power, dominion over nature and mankind itself. And we started making a lot of really bad decisions. And one of the results of that was faith died in the United States. It's resurging now, thank God, literally. But for my whole childhood, I was born in 1969, the year that we walked on the moon. And just kidding, sort of, maybe. I have no idea. I'm not going to find out. I'm not going to find out. I've got enough problems. I don't want to know. But anyway, the point is, I was born that year, and for my entire life up until recently, like, no one I knew in my world, which was like, you know, coastal, affluent, well-educated, not that I'm well-educated, but everyone else around me is, no one ever, like, talked about God at dinner. That was, like, the spiritual realm was, like, kind of a joke that, like, is kind of a trailer park belief or who knows what. They're handling snakes. They make TV shows about it. Like, no one believed that. And when you don't believe that, you kind of miss everything because it is real, whether you want it to be or not. That's literally real. It's absolutely real. It's as real as this podium. And so to someone living even 100 years ago, the idea that these are, of course, angels, demons, they're manifestations of the spiritual battle ongoing since the beginning of time, that would have been obvious. And instead we're like, maybe they flew in rocket ships from Mars. Do we have a telescope powerful enough to detect that? Oh, shut up. You're missing the obvious, dude. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So what do you think? Let me know in the comment section. I love reading the comments on these UFO ones. I just think it's neat to hear our leaders talk so honestly about this subject and say, actually, you know what? I'm JD Vance. I might be president someday. I don't even know. Like, the answer is there's no explanation for them. And that's okay, because I'm a Christian, right? And then you live a life of faith, right? Don't we all? It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think.
Newspapers.com. The past. Read all about it.
Uncompromising energy deserves uncompromising quality, crafted without compromise.
And they proceed to do exactly that. In my opinion, it is so much worse than betting those unders in the sports, which is getting more of the attention.
Oh, yeah. It just depends what your algorithm is. If you watch a lot of poker stuff, you're probably seeing more of the poker stuff. If you watch more sports, you probably see more of the sports stuff. But you're right. There's so many layers, so many levels to it. And one of the things that people keep asking me, they say, well, these people make millions of dollars in this and this. What are they doing this for less amounts, for 10K, for 20K, etc.? Well, I think with a lot of these people that are very successful, very entitled, it's not just the money to them. It's about the manipulation of people. It's having control over people. It's asserting your dominance, essentially, and connecting with these people. So they're bringing in other potential celebrities, other potential athletes, other rich people. And there's something about being that alpha that a lot of these people, a lot of professional athletes, they crave it. It like fuels them. So it's not just the money, it's that manipulation, having that power over people. And Raver, you and I mean, we've both played in private games with possible celebrities, athletes, right? Yes. That are pretty high status people. Who knows that if we were getting cheated at some point, but what do you think here now this is going to do for, especially in the LA Vegas area where there are a lot of high-end private games, what do you think that's going to do for the landscape now?
Well, I think it might change it a little bit. I think sometimes in these high stakes private games, and I know you and I have been to a lot of them, it's almost like you forget how much money is actually at stake, right? Because it's a lot of people with disposable income. It tends to be a table of mostly people that don't give an F about the money. But it's serious money. A lot of times it's hundreds of thousands of dollars you can win or lose in a night. And there's a big opportunity to cheat the games. It doesn't have to be so advanced as what these guys were doing, but I think everyone's going to be a little more careful.
I think, yeah, as a player, you got to really protect yourself. You just don't know these days, and you got to know what you're getting into. I know for me personally, when I go to some of these private games, it's not necessarily for the poker, but it's for the connections and the networking. So that would definitely like suck me in, right? How they were using Chauncey Billups or these other VIPs to bring in some other players. Like
you would have been at that game.
Dude.
I know you. You're right. If they told you that there was Chauncey Billups playing in a game, oh, you would have been there.
Or like business 100%. Owner this, musician here, DJ
that
person.
That is a Washburn game.
Club owner, like I'm there for that. So hey, it's tough, but hopefully that the people that are doing this, that have the wrong motives, that are just purely dicking other people over, hopefully they get caught. Hopefully there's some justice, and that us, the poker player community, can be a little bit more safe and support and take care of each other. So
cross your fingers. I hope so as well. And we all need to be vigilant against cheating. If you see something, say something. That's what they say about it, right?
Just like going through TSA. That's right. You see something, say something.
Like all right. It's time to preview tonight's lineup. First up, Peter Pumpkin Eater. One of my favorite players in all of Hustler Casino Live. The manliest man at this table. He's had the biggest wins. He's won the biggest pots. He's the scariest. Do you agree?
He's certainly not afraid. He's been playing a lot the last couple of weeks. Is he no longer Parking Lot Peter? Is he back to Pumpkin Eater Peter?
He's back to Peter Pumpkin Eater. It's a better name.
Okay, great. It's nice to see him play on a more regular basis, where he is getting into more of these kind of like duels with some of the players on a regular basis that are not just in the $1 million game. It's cool to see that dynamic. So yeah, absolutely always great to have Peter at the table. Speaking of rivalries with Peter, right now, one of his biggest threats to each other, Nick Airball. Airball, again, has been playing a lot the last few weeks, getting in these games of the verbal duels with Martin Cabral and putting on a show as always. Airball still has these gears where he will sit back and be pretty relaxed, not beef it too high, but then he'll go off and have games where he's like in for $1 million, right? He just lost a ton where he was in for $1 million that one night not too long ago. So what airball are we going to see? What do you think, Raver?
Well, I think we're seeing the airball that has been losing in a few sessions in the past couple weeks, and he wants to get it back. I think we're going to see a more determined airball than perhaps we've ever seen. Look for him. I would put the over-under on his VPIP tonight in the low 30s. I would suspect he's going to be really waiting for his moment. He's going to be playing very ABC poker and trying to get these guys. He knows that a lot of them are just playing too many hands. And how do you exploit that? You have a tight range. You raise really big when you have it. Jeff the Cash. Jeff the Cash, who's really been making a splash every time on the show. He's down $1 million. He could make that back tonight. He could make that back tonight. He is absolutely fearless out there, and look for him to really be a catalyst in a lot of these big pots.
Yeah, for sure. When you're stuck that much, sometimes you decide you want to take some more chances. He's no stranger to taking chances. Last night, he booked a little bit of a loss, 61K, but he's back again tonight. Again, he has the potential. You see his biggest win there, almost nearly 400K. So, Jeff the Cash, are you going to get that cash? We will see.
Jeff the Cash wipes his ass with 61K. Okay, there's cash in the name. 61K means nothing. He is going to be in the zone tonight.
Wow. Chat pros, any of you out there, do you wipe your ass with 61K cash? Ass with cash? That would be impressive. Big Mike. He's been playing a lot lately in the biggest games on HCL. Quickly become a fan favorite, partially because he is VPipping very high.
Dad is a legend. Who can we thank for that? Let Ancestry help you piece together your story with a family history membership and detailed DNA.
To get it in there with the best players that HCL has to offer.
Look, this guy started playing on HCL September 25th, and he is up over $1 million since then in 11 sessions. So his hourly being on the show is insane. Some chat pro out there can do the math. But this guy, he is printing money so far on the show. His graph is just up and up and up and up. Can it continue?
Wow, you know you have a big impact when you've only been on the show for a month and you're already like a household name. That surprises me that he's only been playing for a month. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Whew.
Another guy who's had a really big impact in a short amount of time is Turbo. And Turbo has become unleashed in these past couple of weeks. I think Airball was kind of making fun of him for being a nit one night, and that seems to have flipped a switch in Turbo. It's almost like every time he goes out there now, he's trying to prove that he's not a nit. Turbo, you have nothing more to prove. We know you're not a nit.
Yeah, Turbo, another fan favorite here. A week ago, had his biggest win, booked over a 400K profit in one session. He ran hot, he played well. Obviously, the 8 deuce hand is a legendary hand that will probably be in the top hands of the year HCL, right, Raver? I know you and your team are going to put that together.
It's a definite contender. It's way up there right now.
Definite. So Turbo, again, I think Airball's very smart. He's calculated. He knows which players that you kind of like are ego players that you can say things like that, like, hey, you're being a nit, and it like sparks them to be like, hey, you're right. I got to prove this. Airball, face of hustler. If he's calling me this on air, boom, I got to do something about it. So props to Airball for doing that. Props to Turbo for stepping up also and really splashing around. Okay, one of the stars of tonight's lineup, Martin Cabral. He played a couple times last week. He played last night. He is back for more. Chat pros, aren't you happy that Cabral's on the show, right? Very polarizing player. A lot of you hate him. A lot of you love him. However, you are tuning in to watch. So if you like that, support. He's very big on social media. Go support his channel. Go comment. Be respectful, of course, and enjoy, because he is certainly one of a kind.
He is one of a kind, and we'll see how tonight goes, because he doesn't have Nikki P to kind of steal the bad guy spotlight tonight, right? Tonight, Martin might end up looking like the bad guy. Lately, when he's been in these Nikki P lineups, Martin seems like a hero compared to Nikki P being the villain. but we'll see how that plays out.
I enjoy him. He's entertaining. He's kind of like that traffic accident you can't take your eyes off it because you want to see what's happening, what's going to come next.
By all accounts, in these kind of lineups, having a 39% VPIP, that's a bit of a nit, right? He himself plays a nitty style. It's not surprising. He's a tournament player, but he's very loud with his personality, and he makes up for it in a lot of ways that are very entertaining.
Great for TV. Even if you don't like what he says, he's a catalyst for getting other people to open up a little bit or at least show some emotion, whether it's good or bad. He knows how to do it.
My favorite player of the night, the MVP, most valuable punter from Monday's game, Jellyfish.
Ooh, Jellyfish. Again, he's only been playing for a few weeks. Kind of came out of nowhere. But now, any game he's in, it changes the dynamic immediately because he's, just like you saw on Monday, he plays a little unorthodox. He's not playing GTO solver approved hands. No, he has feelings with hands. He goes for them. He does things unconventional. He makes weird raises, but that works sometimes though against these other players that are more studied that they can't really figure him out as well. What do you think, Raver? Because you just played with him. I know Monday was a little bit lower, but what do you make of Jellyfish's style?
I mean, absolutely wild, but let's also just be realistic. He's running hot. There's no denying that, right? And when you have that kind of style and you're hitting cards, things line up. It starts working. But obviously, we're all wondering, how long is this run good going to last? I'm picking him to win. I'm picking him as the big winner tonight.
Ooh, prediction. Wow. Well, the thing, coming off of a huge win, like most poker players know this, he won his biggest win ever in Hustler last night, $290,000. Oftentimes when you run well and you play, you start to play more hands because you're used to how that dynamic went. Oh, I'm hitting cards, I'm hitting sets, I can play more hands. He had a triple barrel bluff that he got through Mariano last night too. So, are we going to see more of that? Because you're right, if the variance comes back to balance and he's running just normal, a lot of those hands he's probably going to lose given his style of play. So, it's a big mystery. We will see. Is the universe in his favor? Will he get more run good and run it up again? Or is he just going to dump it all back? Because I think he's very capable of dumping all the profit plus some from last night's win. Absolutely.
Let's go with a new segment, predictions for tonight. Biggest winner. You already heard what I said. It's Jellyfish. What do you think, Washburn?
I am going to go with Martin Cabral tonight.
Okay. What about Airball? You're just picking Martin over Airball?
Yes, I've predicted Airball before in the past. I'm going Martin tonight. I feel like he's going to run hot. He's going to get under some skin. He's just going to get some run good here. I feel like it's his turn here.
It's his turn. Okay. What about biggest loser?
Whew. Biggest loser, I am going with Turbo.
No, say it ain't so.
Okay, these aren't emotionally based. These aren't who I'm rooting for. These are statistically who I think.
I pick with my heart. And I'm going to say Airball as the biggest loser. Chat, tell me if you agree.
So you hate Airball the most?
No, I don't hate Airball the most. I just think he's going to get a little wild, perhaps. And although I did say earlier he's coming for a win, you never...
Grip, stability, precision. That's the essence of driving. Lawfin.
From hoses to hand tools, lighting to ladders, Grainger has the right stuff right when you need it.
It's unconscionable that illegal aliens have CDLs and driving 18-wheelers across our nation. Just because some sanctuary cities want to gamble with motorist lives and let these dangerous people on the roads driving dangerous vehicles.
As the Trump administration plans a crackdown on CDLs being issued to illegal aliens, Republican lawmakers are stepping up as well, pushing for stricter requirements and a universal English proficiency test for anyone who wants to get behind the steering wheel of one of those big rigs. Let's bring in the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem now, who's just given an update on Midway Blitz. And if I could just sort of encapsulate this, Madam Secretary, this Midway Blitz operation at the Indiana-Illinois border nabbed 223 illegal aliens, including 146 truck drivers. 40 drivers had been issued commercial driver's licenses, mostly from California, as well as New York and Illinois. What more can you tell us?
You know, it's really incredible. What has happened here is that we're really seeing and peeling back the onion on who is allowing these dangerous individuals to get on our roads and get behind 18-wheelers that turn into weapons when they don't know how to use them, they don't know how to operate them, and they can't speak our language or interpret our laws. So many of these sanctuary states are handing out driver's license. In fact, as a part of Midway Blitz, we saw over a dozen different states hand out driver's licenses that then allowed these individuals to go get commercial driver's licenses and go out and get onto our roadways. And we're stopping that. We're starting to vet individuals. We're starting to stop individuals. And when we do enforcement action on their driving records or on their trucks to make sure that they're legal, we're allowing our partnerships with these states, such as Indiana, which is where we're focused today, to do immigration enforcement as well, making sure that those individuals who shouldn't be in our country are brought to justice and they're removed from our country too.
Madam Secretary Sandra here in New York, it's amazing to think that Secretary Duffy had to announce earlier this month that he would withhold millions in federal funding from California because they refused to comply with rules requiring these truck drivers to be proficient in the English language. How have we gotten here?
We got here because we had someone in the White House who didn't care about our laws and who put people from other countries above American citizens and then invited criminals and terrorists to come in and to take over our communities. So I'm so thankful that we have President Trump in the White House who said, our Constitution matters, American citizens will be put first, and we're going to enforce our laws. And our partnerships that we've been able to build with governors like Governor Braun here in Indiana have been absolutely remarkable. Just in this short operation, we've arrested over 223 individuals who are illegal aliens in this country. 46 of them were driving 18-wheelers that didn't have an understanding of how to operate them safely or how to make sure that they weren't going to harm any family that was traveling the roadway with them. And we had many, many more of them, dozens more that were driving moving vehicles, box trucks, they were driving buses. I think everybody who goes out on a road trip wants to know that those who are sharing the road with them know what they're doing and that they will follow our laws and that they actually care about protecting people at the long run.
Madam Secretary, as you've been talking, we've been showing footage from that horrific accident that happened just recently in California, where that big rig truck driver who allegedly was under the influence of drugs just ran through 3 vehicles before slamming into the back of another big wheeler. Here's what Gavin Newsom has said about all of this. He said, quote, lost in the immigrant bashing is the fact that drivers holding California-issued CDL are involved in fatal crashes at a rate far lower than the national average. If the focus were on safety, California should be a poster child, not a scapegoat. What's your response?
You know, he should be looking at this situation and saying, you know what, I'm going to do what I can to protect as many people as I can and save lives and change what I'm doing. He is handing out driver's licenses to people with no documentation. Some of these individuals aren't even giving a name. We found driver's licenses as a part of this operation and one that's in Oklahoma that have said no name given on the driver's license. They then went and used to get a commercial driver's license to get behind these trucks. So Governor Newsom needs to understand that saving lives is the #1 priority, and anything he can do as a governor to protect that is extremely important.
Okay, sounds like we've got some activity flying overhead. While that's happening, Madam Secretary, I want to play out some sound from the Illinois Governor, Pritzker, who mentioned you by name and is saying that in the city of Chicago, where ICE continues to carry out these arrests, and ICE officers, by the way, continue to be targets of those on the left, Pritzker is making the case that the ICE agents on the ground are going after legal citizens, longtime Chicago residents. Here he is taking you on. Listen.
Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and Kristi Noem have said they want to target the worst of the worst. They have not done that. They're attacking peaceful neighborhoods and terrorizing kids in Halloween parades.
Madam Secretary, care to respond to the governor?
He's just not telling the truth. He's lying, and you know, it's hard to fight constant lies and attacks from this governor, but we will constantly stand up for the truth and for those people that live in those neighborhoods who want peace, they want safety, and they want these criminals out. Every day we're on the streets of Chicago arresting people who have committed murders, rapists, those who are trafficking drugs and have been victimizing that city for years. We finally have a president in the White House who wants to make this a safe environment for every single American citizen. And no matter what Governor Pritzker says, we're going to do our job. We're going to protect the people of Chicago. We're going to do our operations, and we're going to defend our laws, because that's what America is about. This isn't about him. It's not about me, and it's not about President Trump. President Trump gets up every single day and recognizes that the fight that he's having today is for our next generation of Americans. It's for our kids. It's for our grandkids. What we do today is going to have a ripple effect for them, and that's why we show up and make sure that we're enforcing our laws, because they matter. And if Governor Pritzker doesn't like them, he can go change them. He can go be an advocate and convince people that he's right. He doesn't do that. Instead, he goes on TV and attacks people, and that certainly is not going to get him the results that he's hoping for, which is more power and a bigger office someday. He's focused on himself. Every day we get up and just fight for the American people.
And in doing so, it seems that ICE agents, CBP agents are increasingly under threat. We saw the violence in Dallas and elsewhere. And now we get a statistic from DHS that death threats against ICE operatives are up 8,000%. And listen to what the Chicago Mayor, Brandon Johnson, said about your commander there in Chicago, Gregory Bovino. Listen here.
Bovino is a barbaric individual.
He did call me that word barbaric, and that is what we're talking about with the heated rhetoric that causes violence against law enforcement officers. What about the legal, ethical, and moral duties that we conduct every day on the streets of Chicago to make his city safer? Is that barbaric?
When you've got things like the Chicago mayor calling your commander there barbaric, when you've got J.B. Pritzker referring to ICE as, quote, gnomes thugs, are you surprised to see violence and death threats going up against these agents?
No, I'm not. These leaders are perpetuating that violence. They're encouraging it. They're pushing people to violence by the way that they talk. Greg Bovino is a patriot. He's a great American. He took an oath to uphold the law, and he does it every single day. And I'm so thankful for the way that he inspires people. He inspires thousands of other law enforcement officers to go out and to do their jobs and to do it boldly, and to know that they've got a constitution and they've got a president that will have their backs if they make sure that they're bringing criminals to justice. So by what Mayor Johnson's doing, by what Governor Pritzker is doing, it's endangering lives, and they need to stop. They need to stop because there's consequences to it. Their words have consequences, and we're seeing that. An 8,000% increase in death threats against law enforcement. That's horrific. That shouldn't be happening in America. That shouldn't happen anywhere in the world, and I blame them. I place the blame squarely on their shoulders.
Madam Secretary, a quick final question following up on Chicago, because I know that there are a lot of Chicagoans talking about this right now, because there is a lot of ICE activity, obviously, in that city, and you are making the case, obviously, rightly so. But the governor has asked you specifically to pause immigration enforcement operations in that city. So he says that kids can safely celebrate Halloween. Do you have any plans to alter activity tomorrow on that day?
No, we're going to be out on the streets in full force and increase our activities to make sure kids are safe. Every day in Chicago, we're arresting murderers, child pedophiles, those who have perpetuated assault and pornography against children. We're going to be out there to make sure that they can be safe, enjoy the holidays, spend some time with their families and their neighbors and their communities, and they don't have to be the victim of a crime because of these illegal aliens that are in our country victimizing them.
Madam Secretary, good to catch up with you. Thank you for taking the time this afternoon. I know it's been a busy day for you. All right, see you again soon.
Thank you. You too.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern.
Now, 3.
We saw the frustration boiling over on the U.S. Senate floor yesterday. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, normally fair-minded man, got this way.
We are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown.
And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. You voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. My aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences.
Well, he was fair-minded and shouting about it, all that common sense. We'll see if Dems are listening. More than 1 million federal workers are now without a paycheck. Tomorrow, more than 1.3 million active duty service members are set to miss a paycheck, but they'll still hold our line of sovereignty and our national security. They are heroes. Anybody working without one right now, a hero. And with no vote today, it is all but a sure thing that this Saturday, SNAP food assistance for 42 million Americans will begin running out. Also at risk, Head Start preschool programs for tens of thousands of little ones and their families. Democrats are defending voting against funding those programs 13 times. Again, they're not going to take a 14th vote today. I mean, who thinks it would be different? I guess the Democrats don't. Even some in the legacy media are losing patience.
Are you ready to vote with the Republicans to reopen the government at this point as a reasonable Democrat? Maybe others would follow you.
You know, I'm not there yet because we have had literally, Joe, no discussion whatsoever about how we're going to deal with these spikes.
This is the right way to do it,
premiums.
Senator? By people not getting paychecks at the TSA? This is extortion.
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding their tactics.
The White House.
Well,
this is a choice by the White House.
This
they
is
are
also,
choosing
Congresswoman,
to
this
cut
is
off
also a
food
choice
assistance.
by Senate Democrats
No,
to not
it is
vote to
not.
open the government. Yes, it is.
People need to be able to feed their families, and Saturday is when those funds
If you
run
feel
out,
so
and
strongly,
we are fighting
Congresswoman,
to get
why
that
not ask
funding.
the Senate Democrats from New Mexico to vote to open the government?
All right, just a point here. When you lose Jake Tapper, where are you, Dems? Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is coming up in focus. She's on set with me. First to senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram. Chad, bring us up to speed.
Harris, good morning. Republicans are not holding a test vote today on the bill to fund the government. Fox is told that the GOP wants Democrats to stew over the weekend as the shutdown deepens.
Things are getting pretty serious here, Mr. President. Shutdown had consequences from day one. But now, 30 days in, the consequences are really stonewalling. I hope the pain of the American people is worth the plaudits the Democrats are getting from their liberal base.
Andy Harris of Maryland chairs the House Freedom Caucus. He notes that the biggest federal employee union recently called for an end to the shutdown. Harris believes the walls are caving in on the Democrats.
You have the SNAP benefits, you have the air traffic controller, you have all the things converging, and I think within a week, I think that a reasonable handful of Senate Democrats are going to vote to end this shutdown.
Now, about 42 million people around the country use SNAP benefits to eat. Food pantries and food kitchens are feeling the pinch, but this mission director in Springfield, Illinois, expects pressure to intensify.
It was really designed just for this immediate area. We have some low-income neighbors to the north and south of us, some high rises. Yesterday, I got a call from one of our churches who has a large food pantry, and they had twice the number of people there that night and actually cleaned everything out.
Now, Democrats are suing and demanding that the Trump administration free up money for SNAP, but the Department of Agriculture says it does not have legal access to that money, and it still would not cover everyone who qualifies for the program. Harris?
But at least it would be some kind of a lifeline right now, and people are going to need that. It's hard to believe that no one on the left is seeing that. Chad Pergram, thank you. In focus now, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, a Republican of New York and member of Intelligence, Armed Services, Education, and Workforce Committees. Workforce, we'll get into that. She knows all about this issue. She also serves as the chair of the House Republican Leadership. terrific to have you in focus today. Let's start there with this idea of the workforce, because you're, intimately involved in this issue. People are already suffering. After the weekend, it'll be tough.
People are absolutely suffering, Harris, and the reality is this is a Democrat Senate-led shutdown. This is the same bill. It's a clean funding bill that House Republicans passed that every Republican senator voted for. Democrats own this shutdown, and it's going to have real hurt across America. I'm already hearing from my constituents, whether it's air traffic controllers, whether it's TSA agents, or whether it's those on SNAP benefits who really need those lifelines. So when we talk about Americans going hungry, this impacts every district across the country. Chuck Schumer needs to vote for the bill that during Joe Biden's presidency, he voted for 13 times. And now they're trying to leverage the American people to shut down the government.
Look, I want to touch on this because I've been saying this for a while now, and it certainly is the truth, but now it's worse. There are businesses who may not be affiliated through employment with the federal government, but they're hurt by this too. They are the restaurants, the concessions, those service industry people who now are also, their jobs are abated while they wait to see what happens with a government shutdown.
Not only does it impact those small businesses in that way, but if you look at the Small Business Administration, whether it's loans or different grants, those are very important for lifelines for small businesses to start and continue this economic growth. That is not happening during this government shutdown because Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats have refused to fund the government. This is a clean funding bill. Republicans do not want to leverage the American people. We refuse to hurt the American people, which is why I voted, as I have throughout my time in Congress, to fund the government. The American people deserve that certainty, and the reality, Harris, is it's about Chuck Schumer's polling numbers. When he voted earlier this year to fund the government, he got walloped by the far left, and now he is bending the knee to them and holding the American people and leveraging them.
And by name, you mean Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes.
And while she hasn't said whether or not she'll run for Senate, that pressure is on him because the party seems to want a new, younger guard. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley with an op-ed here. Here's part of it. No American should go to bed hungry. Hawley introduced a bill in the Senate this week that would fund SNAP benefits for those 41.7 million Americans until the shutdown ends. Now, you heard Chad Pergram talking about this. This is just a Band-Aid, but it covers the gaping wound of hunger for a period of time, and that's worth a lot. 10 Republican senators and 1 Democrat have signed on to co-sponsor Hawley's bill. I would think that people would be running from the left to do something like this because this allows them at least to say, we tried to do something. They look like they're willing to burn the house down and run out.
And the people are hurting. That is an important bill that Senator Hawley has put forward. I strongly support it. But it is important to note there's only 1 Democrat that co-sponsored that bill, which shows that they're not interested in helping the American people. And the reality is we have already voted to fully fund SNAP, to pay our troops, to make sure we're paying our federal law enforcement officers, as well as our TSA agents and air traffic control. This is a matter of safety across this country too, Harris. We need to provide certainty and that relief. It's our job as members of Congress. It is disgraceful that Chuck Schumer has continued to shut down the government.
All right, another day and another shocking video has shown up, and we were going to put that back up on the screen so we can see what you were showing. Right? Okay, because I think it's worth, before we move on, the percentage of population using SNAP right now. I'm going to ask my team to put that back up. Look, Hakeem Jeffries in the House has said he wants to renegotiate the clean funding bill that you all passed out of the House. Is that even a possibility?
Hakeem Jeffries needs to vote for this clean funding bill, which he voted for many times, over a dozen during Joe Biden's presidency. It is Democrats who have chosen to shut down the government. They're the same people who have voted previously for this clean funding bill, but that 13 opportunities they have voted no, hurting Americans, forcing over 40 million Americans to go hungry who are not going to have access to SNAP benefits, not paying our troops. It's absurd. It's inexcusable, which is why I voted to fund the government.
We're looking at some of these percentages, and Oklahoma and Oregon on the screen now, above 15% of their population using SNAP. You mentioned military families, some on SNAP and WIC as well. This is something, again, that is really, really burning, and I will wonder what it will take to keep the Democrats to put the fire out. We'll see. Let's get to this now. Another day, shocking resurfacing of video causing headaches for the New York Democrat socialist, and you've heard me refer to his policies as communist, Zoran Mamdani and his campaign. The Democrat socialist frontrunner in New York City's mayoral race has struggled to go even 24 hours without a new, fresh controversy. It's getting close. I guess that's why that happens. The truth tends to drip. His father, a prominent academic, with this completely disgusting comparison that has gone viral.
We owe an apology to anyone who's ever bought a Muddy Mat before, because we lied. Yes, it's true that Muddy Mat's premium microfiber...
America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable.
Congresswoman, your response.
Our response is to compare Abraham Lincoln to Adolf Hitler is un-American. Abraham Lincoln is the proud founder of the Republican Party. He emancipated millions of Americans. He is the ultimate American president that no matter what your political affiliation, you should admire and strive. And this is a disgrace. It shows that Zoran Mamdani's campaign continues to go down this path towards anti-Americanism that's deeply out of touch with the American people. And I think about, Harris, the veterans in my district. When I meet World War II veterans, many of their colleagues and men did not come home that they served with. That's the ultimate sacrifice. This is a smear on all of our veterans, and it's a smear on all fellow Americans. So this is a very important mayoral election. We need to stop Mamdani. And it's really unthinkable that a little over 20 years since 9/11, you could have a pro-Hamas jihadist, full-blown communist who wants to defund the police as mayor of the greatest city in the world.
All right, and you haven't announced whether you will run against Kathy Hochul for the governor of New York. What's the status on that, real quick?
Status on that is we're getting feedback from all across New York, Republicans, Democrats, and independents who have seen Kathy Hochul bend the knee and endorse Zoran Mamdani. She threw New Yorkers under the bus because she has abysmal polling numbers. We need to address the affordability crisis in our state because of single-party Democrat rule under Kathy Hochul. She's widely known as the worst governor in America, so we're getting a lot of encouragement. More to come after this mayor's election. We need to save New York.
Congresswoman Stefanik, always great to have you in focus and in person. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday.
So today's the day. I've got my RTA mock system and Coyote appliances.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's been a week, maybe a couple of days. I can't remember since our last Palantir update. Either way, what's important is we're about to break it down now. We're going to go over the charts as we're days away from their earnings. And guys, well, as the overall market's selling off today, Palantir's actually holding up. And we broke over, it looks like $200 a share. Was that yesterday, this morning? Either way, we're going to break it down and go over what to expect from their earnings. We'll break down the numbers, the charts, what I'm doing, right, as coming from somebody that owns the stock at a $20 cost basis, right? So I want to break down what I'm looking to do here, which honestly I'm considering locking a little profit. You might think I'm nuts, but we're going to talk about it in this video. Guys, hit the like button, subscribe, join the Patreon for my portfolio updates. Link down below. Also, it's in the comments if you want to. No pressure, obviously. And now let's dive into it. So the overall market is down. It's currently 3:35 p.m. And you're watching this, obviously, after the market closed. And we're down across the board. Dow's down 0.1. Russell over 0.5%. S&P's down 0.9. QQQ's down 1.3%. And again, Palantir is down, what, 1%, 0.8, 0.9, 1%. And we hit over $200 a share Looks like in the overnight market. Yeah, so Palantir's holding up. Why? Because earnings. Earnings are on the 3rd, and there's a lot of hype here. A lot of hype heading into Palantir's earnings, and that's what's keeping the stock propped up in the midst of the sell-off. You know, if we didn't have earnings, the reality is this stock would be down maybe 5 to 7%. Maybe not 7, but maybe 5% today. But yeah, it's being propped up, and the stock is up a good chunk since about a week ago. We hit 170 a week ago. Think about that. And now we're at 196. We're up 16% off of that low, and we're completely breaking out. You know, we're above the moving averages. We have a golden cross. We're taking out this you know, this wedge, and it's clearly showing signs of a breakout after about, let's see, 2.5 months of consolidation. And this is what makes me hesitant to actually lock in some profits here before earnings, because the reality is, guys, Palantir actually was flat for about 2.5 months. Now it's starting to break out again. So I feel like, am I selling a little too early in this new breakout, right? You know, that's kind of what's going on in my head. Maybe I'm being greedy. I don't know, guys, right? But it's like Palantir, again, it's been flat, or it was flat for pretty much 3 months almost. Since the beginning of August, guys, we didn't do much, right? Beginning of August, we were at 165, 170, and we were just there a week ago, right? Literally a week ago, and now we're starting to break out. So part of me is like, maybe lock in some profits, but part of me is like, man, I don't really need the money in the short term. It's like, I don't really need to rebalance now either. I mean, my Palantir position is not as big as it was because I've bought more stocks. You know, I've grown the portfolio, but, you know, I've added new stocks, which obviously when you add new stocks to your portfolio, fresh capital, it, well, makes your other positions smaller. Math, right, guys? Unless your position just blows up still, you know, if it keeps going up. Either way, Palantir at this point, it's not that big of a holding for me percentage-wise. You know, it's gone up a lot, you know what I mean? Again, I'm in at 20 bucks a share, but at this point, I'm cool with holding on to it, and part of me is like, I feel like this could juice up to like 225 even, 215, 210 maybe, if earnings come in super hot. Who knows? But that could easily, it could go the other direction as well. That's the risk there. But at this point, man, I'm holding on. Part of me, again, is like, maybe I should sell a little bit. I did sell, you guys know, I did lock in profit once on Palantir, one time. And you want to know where it was? For those that don't remember, I mean, I mentioned this publicly. I made a video the day I did it, actually. But if you look at it here, this is when I locked in the first profit. Actually, no, it wasn't this one. Oh my God, the stock's gone up so much. You know, it was this time right here. So we hit 125 bucks a share back in February at the beginning of this year. Do you guys remember that? I sure remember that. We hit 125 bucks, and I locked in profits at 123, you know, or 121. Either way, it was in the 120s for sure. And literally, guys, it collapsed right after. I swear to God, I'm not kidding. It was either the day of the drop or the day before the drop, I locked in some profits. And it cratered after. I'm like, holy smokes, talk about timing, right? And that doesn't happen every time, obviously. But that's what happened back then. And then, obviously, look at what happened after. So this is the risk, or not even the risk, but when you're locking in profits, and guys, I was up like, again, I sold profits, or I took profits at 120. I was in at $20, right? My shares are at 20 bucks a share. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to lock in profits, but when you pull the layers back, you're like, man, maybe I shouldn't have, but it's prudent to actually do what I did. But, you know, your greedy side takes over sometimes, and it's like, maybe I shouldn't lock in profits, let it ride, I don't need the money. But you get the point. The battle of the, you know, the battle everyday investors have, traders have in their head. You know what I mean, guys? That's what we're dealing with here. But, hey, I've let it ride the last couple of months, and it's done me well. And I've pulled, or I've held on every pullback, you know, and it's proven well. So at this point, guys, I'm just going to hold for the most part. If I lock in profits, it's probably going to be after earnings. If the stock sees, listen here, if the stock sees a $20 pop, if it goes up like 10% after earnings, I'm probably going to lock in some profits. You know, maybe take 5-10% of the position off, something like that. But if it tanks after, I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to hold. If it stays flat, I'm going to hold. But yeah, we'll see, guys. We'll see how it goes. Let's see these numbers now. I've been yapping a little bit too much here. Let's see the numbers, because right now, guys, Palantir's grown a lot. You know, the company has grown a lot. You know, when I first started buying the stock, I think it was a 30-40 billion market cap. Now it's 500 billion almost. It's ridiculous. I mean, the PE ratio is a 650. That is disgusting. Let's just keep it real. It's super high. But when it comes to these unicorn companies, I've said this before, don't always judge it solely based on the PE. Because look, guys, newsflash, the PE was high when the stock was at $40, $50, right? And now it's at 200. So if you just look solely at the PE, you're going to miss out on huge growth opportunities. That's if you're a growth investor, right? If you're a growth investor, if you're looking at tech stocks, don't fixate too much on the PE, or you're going to lose out on massive upside, like this case. Obviously, if you're looking for value, you know, if you're trying to buy the next value stock, yeah, you got to look at certain metrics like the PE to see if it makes sense. But in this case, yeah, it's super high, but if you focused on the PE, you're going to lose money. Or not lose money, but miss out on a major opportunity, right? Think about it. All these big tech stocks that are super big now on Wall Street, right? Apple, Amazon, all these companies we use day in, day out, they had super high PEs as well when their stocks were a lot smaller. So think about it like that. And of course, there are going to be stocks that are high growth companies that have high PE ratios that aren't unicorn companies, and these companies end up sucking. Yes, there are going to be a lot of those. So you got to be careful. But Palantir, I don't think, is one of them. And I think I saw the it factor early on in this company, as a lot of us did, right? And you know, they've proven right? And not all of them work like that. That's the reality. But for earnings coming up on the 5th, right? Or the 3rd, rather, excuse me. The 3rd of November. Are you ready for this, guys? Palantir. Oh, man. EPS estimate is 17 cents on average versus last year's 10 cents. All right, not bad, right? And revenue, look at this. Their revenue growth is projected at 50%, 50, right? So average estimate is $1.09 billion versus last year's $725 million. So 50% revenue growth is what's expected out of PLTR, and if they come in hotter than that, man, 55%, 60%. If they come out with some groundbreaking news, you know how companies do that. You know how companies wait till earnings sometimes to release big info. Hey, if we get something like that, this could, I'm telling you, go to 205, go to 210. That's where it could be going, and that's where I'd consider, like I said, locking in some, not all, obviously. I can't envision myself selling all my Palantir, but that's where I'd consider selling some of it. You know what I mean? And we'll see exactly how much of it, where it will be. We'll see. If it even sells or pops, right? We'll see how that goes. And even if I sell it off to begin with, I'll keep you guys updated. But yeah, I'm pretty excited, as a lot of us are, for these earnings. The stock's holding up pretty well in the midst of a red day. I love that. And if we get a rebound, guys, in the overall stock market, whether it's later today, or not today, but tomorrow, right? Early next week, that could be setting up for, you know, that could juice Palantir's rally even more if it were to pop after earnings. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Patreon if you want to keep up with my portfolio updates. That's linked down below. Also, it's in the comments. Feel free to join, guys. I post updates literally multiple times a week. every week. I posted 2 updates, I think, today. I bought 2 stocks today. Earlier in the week. I mean, look, I've been buying a lot of stocks. I'll be honest. It's kind of what I do, right? So if you want to be a part of it, you know where the links are. I'll get you, or I'll see you there, and I'll catch you in the next video.
The reason we created these initial robots was to solve a pretty basic problem. Weeds have become resistant to herbicides, and so then you have to use more of those chemicals. There's no resistance to a blade.
Now we have located the great Victor Davis Hanson, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow. Victor, welcome back. I don't know, you may have heard if you heard some of that Jameson Greer discussion about the China deal. You have a quick thought on that one? I want to talk about, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Your great piece that you wrote. But what you thinking about this deal?
Well, I think it's a start, but I think Trump needs to realize that he's in a much stronger position vis-a-vis China than we were in January. They bet on the wrong horse in the Middle East. Their client, Iran, has been humiliated. Russia's stalling. India's now trying to get back to us. When you look at GDP, inflation, stock market, the United States is really doing well. Foreign investment, everything is positive abroad. We've restored deterrence. NATO is stronger than it's been in 30 years. So I don't think that the president needs to give the concessions that a Biden administration might what he might have done in January or February. I think he really has to crack down to zero tolerance of fentanyl to Mexico, things like that. So I think he's in a much stronger position. I hope he uses that to leverage China, because they're on the losing end of a lot of things the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, they're on the short end of the stick. And as you say, they're in a number of geographic areas around the world, including the Middle East, maybe including South America, because it looks like Mr. Trump is standing with Argentina, so that's a good thing, and going up against Venezuela, so that's a good thing. I agree with you. But the toughest one is the fentanyl commitment. You know, I keep saying this. I was there at the dinner in Buenos Aires. 2018, okay, 7 years ago. And Mr. Trump, who was, has always been totally worried about fentanyl, and he said to Xi, can you stop the fentanyl? And she said yes, and boom, 7 years later, we're still at it. That's the one that troubles me the most. That's the one where I applied trust but verify.
Absolutely. Fentanyl's killed more people. You can make the argument, going back a decade, it's killed more Americans than were lost in World War II. And the Mexican government is complacent. The cartels are actively involved with China. China knows what it's doing. Maybe 1 or 2% of its 300,000 students are active espionage working for the Chinese Communist Party. So we have a lot of pressure. I think that Americans got into a defeatist attitude, and everything that their carriers, their tanks, their jets, their missiles, they're all derivative of U.S. technology. And we can stop it in a minute. And they see rare earth, they see the deal with Australia, they see what we're doing in California with new opening up and expanding rare earths, and they think, you know what, in 5 years, 4 years, we're not even going to have that leverage on them. So I think they're ready to, not that they're ever going to be friendly with us, or not that they don't want us to be destroyed. I do believe they feel that way, but we're in a stronger position. We should use it to our advantage right now.
Every time I see the War Department blow up one of these drug cartel ships off Venezuela, I applaud. I mean, it's just such a show of strength, and it's so long overdue. And I just wonder whether we're going to go after the so-called drug factories run by the cartels in Mexico. That could be part of the whole fentanyl argument, Victor.
Yeah, I think the idea is if we can stop China sending the fentanyl, and we can blow up or deter them from navigation by water into the United States, I think Trump's going to take a pause and think, well, maybe these crooked leaders, these cartel leaders in Colombia, the government is left-wing now, and Venezuela, they use drug cartel money to pay off the military, to pay off the media, pay off the opposition, and if we can strangle them, not only are we going to save American lives, but we can change the political climate in Latin and South America. I think they're right, too, in Mexico especially.
So your article here, are Americans better or worse off since January? You know, the numbers, the facts say, yes, you bet we're better off.
Yeah, I'm a little worried because I think every time Trump talks about GDP, inflation, the border, deportations, the energy, 1 million barrels more. He's now going to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the new NATO partners, the strong NATO, the Japanese government, the Italian government, the Argentina government, this sweeping conservative tide. He goes up in the polls, but when he gets to troll or he does these videos or the Democrats want to bring him down to tit for tat to get the attention of the American people off this Renaissance presidency. We've never seen anything more ambitious. It's a counter-revolution against the progressive project. It's working, and his poll should be 60% right now. Everything is going. It's just amazing how well everything is going, but I don't think that they give themselves enough credit, and they got to get beyond the tit for tat with these crazy people that are their opponents.
You know, his first quarter, the first Trumpian quarter, which is the second quarter of the calendar year. He had GDP of 3.8. The Atlanta Fed, for what it's worth, Victor, the Atlanta Fed GDP tracker for the third quarter is 3.9. So you're almost at 4% for his first 2 quarters. The inflation rate needs to come down some more, but it's under 3%. I mean, Biden had 21% inflation. I mean, by any objective standards, things are a lot better.
Yeah, if you do it on a 4-year average, Biden averaged 5% inflation a year. And so he's already brought the price of gas is much cheaper than it was during the average of the Biden years. The border is secure. Nobody ever in their right mind thought that he would be able to either self-deport or deport 2 million people. The year's not even over yet. If we were talking, Larry, in March or April, you would be asking me, are the pundits right on Wall Street that we're going to have a recession and the market's going to collapse? And you knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't. Most people said it was.
You know, that whole story, the tariff story, the tariff inflation, the tariff recession. I was doing some back-of-the-envelope stuff today with some friends of mine. You know, you're only talking about maybe goods affected by tariffs. Bottom line, about $50 billion worth in an economy that's $30 trillion. That's all it is. 11%, $50 billion worth. And by the way, tariffs are tax deductible. There's that also. And a lot of this stuff is compliant with NAFTA, or not NAFTA, but USMCA. I've never seen such an overhyped issue, but then again, it all comes from Trump's enemies. Okay, not his friends, but his enemies, without any evidence, Victor, right? I know how to push some numbers. I know I'm a senior citizen. I know I've been doing this a long time. But I'm looking at the numbers, and it is a minuscule part of the whole story.
It is. We have some of the greatest economists at the Hoover Institution, and I would talk to them, and they'd say off the record, we don't know what the profit margin is from these countries, but we know they can eat a lot of it and pay a tariff and still do very well, given what they've been doing. And they were very circumspect about it. They said, you know, classical Milton Friedman economics says we should be against it, but privately they were saying, you know what, he's got a lot of room for tariffs before it's going to impact us. So I think, you know, if even half, Larry, of the 15 trillion or sometimes it's 18 trillion, if they renege on half of the foreign investment, the figure is still staggering. We've never seen anything like 7 or 8 trillion if that comes through.
And you look at the... No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you look at the, you know, everyone was saying it's 1930 and there's going to be a retaliatory global trade war. Just look what just happened in Southeast Asia. All these countries are playing ball and making deals with Mr. Trump. In Europe, they're playing ball and making deals with Mr. Trump. And they will in North America also when he gets around to it next year. Instead of retaliation, we're having deal making. A lot of barriers are coming down. A lot of fairness is being restored. And foreign policy-wise, China's being cornered. As we were talking about before, China is being cornered. And how good is that?
I know it. And working right next at Stanford, next to Silicon Valley, you talk to these guys and they said, with Trump, there's no winners or losers. It's an open arena. And we've got robotics, we've got artificial intelligence, we've got genetic engineering, we've got crypto, we got all these new technologies, and they're all going to be U.S. preeminence in all of them, because we got an administration that basically, kind of like Roosevelt during the War Production Board, when he finally went capitalist and said to William Knudsen and Ford, just go make the stuff and we'll keep out of it. And that's the attitude. I've never seen the Silicon Valley people so confident. For somebody, you know, it's going to be an exciting time, I think.
Fabulous stuff. Victor Davis Hanson, best of the best. Thank you ever so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.
With a shield-level annuity from Bright House Financial, your portfolio can benefit from growth potential with a level of protection from market volatility to help you follow your plans wherever they take you. Bright House Financial, build for what's ahead.